Scully.
And I'm Will Robbie for IFC News. In case you missed it, people are voting for the next president of the United States right now.
We're going to tell you everything you always wanted to know about the election, but were afraid to ask.
There's nothing as exciting as winning a campaign. There's also nothing more crushing than losing a campaign. I mean, you invest everything in a campaign. You live it, you breathe it, you die it. It's not just another job, and it's about a cause and a passion.
It is a truly 24/7 process, and if you don't have the hunger for it and want to do it, don't.
From the beginning, 2008 was a landmark election with an unprecedented diversity of candidates. The Republicans started off with a field that included John McCain, Mitt Romney, Mike Huckabee, Rudy Giuliani, Fred Thompson, Sam Brownback, and Ron Paul.
Amongst Democratic contenders were Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, John Edwards, Bill Richardson, Joe Biden, Chris Dodd, and Dennis Kucinich.
In the 9 presidential elections that I've covered, I've never seen anything like this.
Basically, it's like watching a group of people stand on a bowling ball for 2 years and then see if any of them throw their weight one direction or another and fall off. In terms of the actual process itself and the obscene pageantry and the state-to-state wind sprints and the crazy, there are bands, there are hot dogs, there are streamers, and it's nothing but Americana and kitsch.
The raging fire is Mike Huckabee.
I think it's really cool that monkeys are taking an interest in politics.
My name is Flip Romney. You know, I get nervous a little bit on election days. I say to my wife, it feels like you're pregnant. There's not much you can do. You can just wait. She says, no, you know nothing about that, Terry.
Though campaigning had started nearly a year before, the election technically began with the Iowa caucus on January 3rd, a small but important state as it has often picked the nominee of each party.
Caucuses are like alchemy. Who knows what happens once they walk inside there?
You can really get a sense of whether a person is genuine or you think he's just phony. And I will tell you, there are a few on both sides that I think are phony, and I'm obviously not supporting any of them.
Do you think Iowans have a good bullshit detector?
Oh, definitely. Huckabee and Obama are sort of radiated authenticity.
Barack Obama and Mike Huckabee handily won their respective party caucuses.
And Romney and Hillary and Edwards seemed a little slick.
Great political leaders are people that can bring new people into the political process.
Both Huckabee and Obama drew in huge numbers of new politically energized young voters, tripling turnout.
Obviously, you can see this campaign has the most organizational strength.
Anybody who's in one of the top 3 slots in those early states is still on his feet.
Once the presumed frontrunner Hillary Clinton, reeling from her third-place showing, looked to the New Hampshire primary for a comeback.
She is facing a lot of momentum in the face of Barack Obama.
This race is by no means over. I do not count the Clintons out, and neither does Senator Obama, and nobody who's been around this would.
John McCain counted on New Hampshire's independent voters to ignite his campaign.
No question is out of bounds. The audiences aren't pre-selected like some candidates do. He's never off the record. That's what American voters expect from a president.
The state's open primary allowed for citizens to vote across party lines, and independents came out for McCain, siphoning votes from Obama and helping Hillary Clinton to win.
I just felt like there was a light switch that went off, and people were saying, you know what? Not only is he the one who's going to win the Republican nomination, he's somebody that everybody can be proud of.
Next up was the South Carolina primary. Facing an uphill battle against Obama's support amongst a large African-American electorate, the Clintons came on strong with tough talk that some took as racially divisive. Has race been injected into this campaign, and if so, how?
Well, certainly not by us. I know President Clinton had some comments on it and suggestions about it that kind of thrust it into the fore. I think it's unfortunate that others have felt for political reasons that they needed to inject that.
Voting in our state has been racially polarized ever since the 1890s. So it was not put into the campaign by the Clintons, but they certainly took advantage of it.
It's always been an issue, but it's been undercover. People have it in their minds, they just don't talk about it. As a matter of fact, that's the #1 problem in America today in terms of race. Nobody talks about it.
Obama swept the state, doubling Hillary Clinton's turnout.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
On the Republican side, McCain hoped to build on his victory in New Hampshire with a win in South Carolina.
Hi, everybody. This is a battle now between Huckabee and McCain. There's one seat, and there's 3 people playing musical chairs. A couple inches of snow can cripple South Carolinians when it comes to the commute.
We've told our voters, be post office voters. No, don't let the rain, the sleet, or the snow keep them away. We've also said if the people are voting for somebody else, we'd really prefer they stay home and be safe today.
Inclement weather depressed turnout in Mike Huckabee's stronghold and paved the way for a narrow McCain victory.
Following South Carolina, candidates went national, hoping the multi-state primary day, Super Tuesday, would shake out a frontrunner. Ending a long, very hard-fought day, Hillary Clinton managed to win her home state of New York. Barack Obama won his home state of Illinois, and the two divided up the country, leaving the race as undecided as ever.
Building on his momentum, John McCain solidified his lead as the Republican frontrunner, winning more states than any other candidate.
This campaign has really come back. People have taken a second look at all the candidates and decided John McCain is the one they trust to be their president.
Is this going to go down in history as a huge comeback on the Republican side?
It is, and it's thrilling.
If my old company officer, the Marine captain, were here today, he'd say in America anything is possible, I tell you.
Winning the balance of delegates in the Texas primary, John McCain finally made his nomination official.
It was like having to win a sudden death playoff game week after week, and we did.
My friends, we have won enough delegates to claim with confidence, humility, and a great sense of responsibility that I will be the Republican nominee for President of the United States.
McCain's strong appeal to moderates and no-nonsense straight talk separated him from the pack.
That hostility toward canned political talk is just gigantic.
We need to be a little moderate in our country, and I believe that McCain it is.
McCain is no slouch. He's not a crybaby either. He's the kind of a guy who, when he decides that he's going to do something, he's going to get it done.
Democrats moved on to the Texas and Ohio primaries as Clinton's campaign grappled with Obama's unexpected success.
Running against Obama, she looks like the establishment candidate, and so, you know, they have this huge machine, but they may well fall under the weight of their own machine.
I think she's got to break the momentum before she gets there.
How does she do that without seeming too negative? She can't.
She can't. I mean, you're going to have to go negative, or what you call negative. It's got to be comparative, and you got to expose the weaknesses in Barack Obama as a potential president.
But does he have any weaknesses?
Sure he does. Republicans will show you what he has if he gets nominated.
Increasingly frustrated, Clinton refocused her message, questioning Obama's mettle.
It's 3 a.m. and your children are safe and asleep. Who do you want answering the phone?
Clinton also began to ally herself with the working class.
She talks more like she's sitting around a kitchen table with somebody and talking to them about their problems. She definitely emphasizes the economy and jobs more. This is actually the only Democratic group I've ever met that actually dislikes Obama. They basically think of him as this kind of latte-sipping college boy. They just think he's a little too intellectual, that he doesn't really talk on their level, and they actually don't like him. And that this is a pretty substantial portion of the Democratic electorate.
After winning in both Ohio and Texas, Clinton lashed out at the media for counting her out despite her comeback victories.
Look at this story, substitute my name for Senator Obama's name, and see what you would do with this story. That's what I would ask you to do. What is that? What it means is, just ask yourself.
The relationship with Hillary's campaign and the press, it's a bit tricky.
It's, I think it's been dysfunctional for a very, very long time.
We in the Hillary Clinton campaign think the media has been very biased, but you get your hand and you play with the hand you're dealt.
Helped by Obama's ill-considered statement that the rural working class voters were bitter and clung to guns and religion, Clinton won the Pennsylvania primary by nearly 10 points.
All across Pennsylvania and America, teachers are grading papers and doctors and nurses are caring for the sick, and you deserve a leader who listens to you.
However, Clinton's momentum hit a roadblock when she was battled down to a near draw in Indiana and suffered significant defeat in North Carolina as Obama set records in fundraising and voter turnout.
Your support has meant the difference between winning and losing. And we can only keep winning if we're able to keep competing against an opponent who does outspend us massively.
and the party faithful began to rally around Obama's focused campaign.
Tonight, many of the pundits have suggested that this party is inalterably divided. Well, I'm here tonight to tell you that I don't believe it.
Though the odds were increasingly difficult, Clinton rode out her campaign until the very last primary.
Even when the pundits and the naysayers proclaimed week after week that this race was over, you kept on voting.
And even then, she was reticent to concede. Is the presidential nomination still on the table, or are we talking about the vice presidential nomination?
Presidential nomination still on the table. She made it clear she's got more voters than anyone's ever gotten for president. She's going to talk to her supporters. She's got big issues she needs to raise. You heard her. She's not going anywhere.
Clinton gave her concession speech just a few days later. The once inevitable nominee had been bested by the young freshman senator, underestimating his campaign at every turn.
It's going to come so fast. I think it ends on February 5th. It's going to be a 30-day sprint. Well, March 3rd is a big day. Texas and Ohio, they're going to make up their minds as soon as right after June 3rd.
While many Republicans relished the idea that Obama's candidacy had been fatally wounded by Clinton, he came out of the primaries battle-tested and with a 50-state organization.
The Republicans shouldn't be congratulating themselves that Obama's sort of flopping around a little bit on some of these culture questions, because he'll figure it out, and it's ultimately the economy and the war that's going to decide the election.
But I think if you look at the composure that he has shown over the last 18 months and under some, at times, pretty relentless personal attacks, you'll see that he can take the heat and keep going.
With their convention, Democrats put to rest any talk of disunity, uniting behind Barack Obama and the historical significance of his nomination.
You know, given all the thug life, gangster rap, and overly violent images that are stereotypically portrayed on TV, this is so good. And for me, just so emotionally, you know, so deep that a river flowed in me in that moment. You know, and that's why I just felt like there's no describing to someone who doesn't get it what this means to me.
With his newly selected running mate Joe Biden, Barack Obama delivered more specifics on his policy promises, while also attacking his opponent's temperament.
It's not because John McCain doesn't care. It's because John McCain doesn't get it. If John McCain wants to have a debate about who has the temperament and judgment to serve as the next commander-in-chief, that's a debate I'm ready to have.
He has actually been much more feisty in taking the fight to John McCain. They say that he's out of touch, that he is reckless with his foreign policy, and that he's more of the same about George Bush.
They always were going after his age.
They were? Of course they were. I mean, all the language. Every time Obama said he's out of touch, what did that mean? They were.
Does he mean he's off his rocker?
Of course.
Thank you. God bless you.
But the buzz coming off the Democrats' convention was immediately eclipsed by a bombshell announcement.
McCain is the sort of person who's capable of surprise, and in choosing a running mate or something they do might surprise us, something out of the ordinary.
And surprise everyone he did by choosing conservative Alaskan Governor Sarah Palin as his running mate, rallying his base and giving the Republican convention new meaning.
He picked somebody as far away from Washington as he could possibly find, who is a co-maverick, who stood up against her own party, as McCain has done, and who is an all-fired, really strong woman who I think everybody's going to love in the end.
Like the Democrats, Republicans paid tribute to their candidate's biography.
Long ago, something unusual happened to me that taught me the most valuable lesson of my life. I was blessed by misfortune.
But they also spent a good deal of time mocking their opponent, with Sarah Palin leading the charge.
When the stadium lights go out and those styrofoam greet columns are hauled back to some studio lot, what does he actually seek to accomplish after he's done turning back the waters and healing the planet?
The ratio of biography and attacks to substance and agenda for the future has been, I think, out of whack for them if they want to persuade the country to stick with the Republicans for another 4 years.
With help from Sarah Palin, the Republican convention reinvigorated McCain's campaign, giving him a lead in the polls for the first time.
It's a sea change of Republicans trying to be funny, trying to criticize with a smile,
But Sarah Palin soon fell to earth after stumbling through tough interviews, leading many, even members of his own party, to question McCain's choice.
How well does John McCain know his running mate? How many times did he meet her? We hear once or twice. And he talked to her on the phone before he selected her.
McCain's lead was also cut short by a sudden economic downturn, which helped the Democratic ticket. In an effort to put his message, country first, into practice, McCain suspended his campaign to return to Washington, suggesting they postpone the first debate.
Any harm done by his almost backing out of the debate?
I think he was only emboldened by almost backing out of the debate because he showed the American people that there are things that are more important than politics.
In the end, McCain's move backfired as a majority of undecided voters felt Obama came out stronger on the economy.
I think John McCain needs a break. And that's always important to a winning candidate, is to have a break or two when you need it, and that's out of his hands.
In need of a game changer, McCain's campaign sought to raise doubts about Obama's judgment and character based on his associations with 1960s domestic terrorist Bill Ayers.
Barack Obama, too risky for America.
What it speaks to is his judgment. For example, here's what Senator Obama didn't say tonight. What did he say to William Ayers when he found out that he was part of an organization that had bombed the Pentagon and Capitol? What did he say to him?
They try to say over and over again to the American public, this person is not like you, this person doesn't understand you, and you can't trust what he's going to do. And so that's what's coming at Barack Obama over and over again.
McCain's attacks, many of which were the same made by Hillary Clinton months earlier, largely fell on deaf ears. But what did catch people's attention was his championing of a middle-class hero, Joe the Plumber.
Let's have some straight talk. The real winner this week was Joe the Plumber.
The financial collapse debate has finally found for John McCain a personification in this guy, Joe the Plumber. I mean, we're all getting tired of hearing about him, but the fact of the matter is McCain's made such a big deal out of it because it's his first opportunity to actually explain simply what he's talking about.
He'll undoubtedly be a bit of a famous character, but really it's what he represents that Americans should be concerned with. Not Joe, the Joe Plumber, but rather every Joe Plumber that's out there trying to get ahead.
But no matter how popular Joe the Plumber, it quickly became clear that Republicans were outmaneuvered in an organizational ground game that had grown from Obama's national primary campaign.
Ohio, once again, is neck and neck and seems to be the classic swing state. I say that with some disappointment because I'd kind of hoped that at least once in one of these presidential elections that we Republicans would be able to have a little lead, to be able not to have to knock on every door and do every phone call. But again, it's really, really close.
What further took the McCain campaign off guard was Obama's incursion into traditional red states.
Looking at the Electoral College numbers, there are a lot of different ways Obama could win it, but really only a couple for McCain.
Yeah, Senator Obama throughout has always talked about how he wants there to be many, many different options, many different ways he could win. And there are a lot of states in play right now.
We have a huge number of Bush states that McCain is defending. So, yes, the normal battlegrounds of Ohio and Missouri, very competitive. But the new states, Virginia, Colorado, Indiana, North Carolina, we think McCain's in real trouble here because he has to pull an inside straight at this point to win.
What do you say to people that are already calling this a done deal, that are already calling it for Barack Obama?
Well, I was for Dewey also, but...
I don't know how much I believe some of the numbers. Sometimes people can inflate polls to work their way.
I think the polls are false. I'm pretty optimistic today with this crowd. I haven't seen a crowd like this in decades. So this is pretty good.
But no matter how big McCain's crowds are, Obama's are consistently bigger.
Senator McCain was at the state fair today. He had maybe 1,000 people. And I think we have more people here, right?
It's 3:30 right now. This event does not start till 7.
7 is when they let us in.
And the candidate doesn't get here till...
I'm going to guess maybe 9 o'clock.
Certainly, there are. You could say that there's a tremendous enthusiasm gap. Obama's supporters are much more enthusiastic for him than McCain supporters. That doesn't mean that there are more Obama supporters at the end of the day.
Obama's been out campaigning McCain. I mean, isn't that fundamentally a problem for the McCain campaign in the final stretch?
Sure, and it's not just the number of events and speeches and hands that you shake.
Money.
It's also the money and the advertising. You can get every single one of the McCainiacs late at night after they've had a couple too many at the bar, and they'll say, well, we knew it was going to be tough. Having said that, they are not giving up.
McCain is facing more headwinds than any candidate in more than a generation. A lot of things are going Obama's way, and they're not going McCain's way. The fact that the man is still standing up is astonishing.
McCain refused to give up, however, despite Barack Obama's clear advantage.
Has he created a new way to run a Democratic Party campaign?
Well, in the sense that he ran a good campaign. That would be a new kind of Democratic campaign, sure. However this ends up ending up, Senator Obama has run one of the most efficient and impressive campaigns, just in terms of how disciplined his team was. From the very beginning, he was talking about change versus more of the same. He read this was going to be a change election, and he had remarkable discipline.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already checked, we probably have a new president by now.
Don't forget to check back for our next episode, where we will be bringing you exclusive footage from both campaigns' election night headquarters. And don't forget to go to IFC.com for more videos and our blog.
Well, the worst part of my day is that I have to spend a lot of time with members of the media. I've been against torture for a long time.
This is Bill Clinton. Hey to everybody watching the Independent Film Channel.
Independent Film Channel? My brother's had a film on the Independent Film Channel.
Sleep when you're dead. Sleep's much overrated.
What were the highlights of this election for you?
Having had the privilege of being on IFC News 2008 Uncut.
Oh, yes.